Okay, welcome back to Victoria L. Women Health Strategist podcast. I'm really excited to be here to talk with you today about one of the books that I have absolutely adored having the opportunity to read. I actually didn't. I don't read it, to be honest. I listened to it on Audible. I've probably listened to it I don't know how many times, but it's one of those books where you can go back and read it over and over again. It is so beneficial. Each time I do so, I gain more knowledge, and I really think it's a great book. So what book am I talking about, right? So the book I want to talk to you today about is The Atomic Habits by James Clear. And honestly, if you're not on his mailing list, just get on his mailing list. He's got some great emails that come out, some great tidbits of information, and I really enjoy what he has put together. So I highly recommend this book if you are looking kind of for that guidance on how to shift your thinking to create new habits. This is a good one to grab for sure. But I wanted to share with you today one of the biggest takeaways from the book for me, and I will have to say that was his chapter on building his writing audience, right? So James explains that twice a week he would write an article, even if he didn't, even if he didn't feel like it. He would sit down and write his article. He would get his shit together, sit down, write his article twice a week. He committed to do a small op-ed twice a week. And it didn't have to always be this great article or a huge inspirational piece, but he committed that he was going to sit down twice a week and do it. And he did. And listening to this chapter, it really kind of tugged at my heart. I was really drawn to the idea, and I've shared this idea so many times because I absolutely love this idea of the do it anyways idea, right? I often make excuses why I can't do things, why I really don't want to do things. And it's funny because as I was running around crazy, like today has been so busy already, I didn't have time to sit down and do the podcast when I wanted to. And so I had committed, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do a podcast every Monday, no matter what, even if it's horrible, I'm going to get it out there, I'm going to do it. And I found myself today making excuses. And so I was reminded of this. I was reminded of this concept of do it anyways. Today doesn't have to show up and be the most, life-changing podcast, but I have to show up for it because that's what I committed to do, was to show up every Monday and to work in a way where I am showing up to do the things that I said I was going to do, right? So I started to think about that, and I started to remember all about this chapter, and this is what came to my mind. What if I just sat down twice a week and wrote out what was on my mind, or spoke on my podcast about what was on my mind, shared my thoughts, published them, hit publish, let it get out there, no matter how great it is or it isn't? What if I just started to do that? What could possibly go wrong, right? I might share an opinion that doesn't agree with everybody, but that's okay. I'm still getting out there and committing to what I wanted to do, right? So James talks about how when he decided to be consistent with his writing, he started to see it become a habit. It started to become this habit forming thing that he was doing. When this small habit formed, his writing twice a week, he noticed that these bigger habits started to fall into place. And he started to notice that it was like this little 1% change. And these little tiny changes over time started to add up and become bigger and bigger changes, right? So I love to write. I really do. I really enjoy sitting down and writing, but I know I don't do it enough. I know that I make a lot of excuses when it comes to my writing. I know that in the past, especially, I have really sat with the negative talk from my past about how my English isn't good enough, how English is like my worst subject in school. I suck big time at it, and how I would fail my writing assignments and all the spelling bees and everything. And I remember so many times in the past I have sat with those excuses as to why I couldn't show up and do the writing that I want to do now. Or even when I do write things, I'm afraid to press publish and get it out there, right? That has been a story that I've definitely struggled with for a lot of times. And I've often let this super old story of not being a good writer stand in my way, right? What if I make a spelling mistake? Well, I can tell you, when I did my first draft of the cookbook, Lord help me, there were so many mistakes in there, so many. And I am actually really proud of them because I was able to just, I'm going to make the habit of sitting down and writing for my book, right? And I messed it up big time. The first draft is horrible, and some of y'all have it, and you can attest to this. It is horrible. I did order some and send it out to the people that were like cheering me on in the background. And I would also I'd get in my head and be like, well, what if my grammar totally messes everything up and nobody understands what I'm saying? What if, what if what I think is important to write about is just like this most boring subject to somebody else? There have been so many excuses. And even today, I found myself, like I said, making excuses. I don't have time. What if I don't have anything important to say? All right. So many what ifs showing up for me every time because I know that this is something that I struggle with. And I feel like it's really time to start to shift those what ifs. I was so inspired by James Clear and his book, The Atomic Habits, that I have really in the last 2 years started to do those little tiny things, make those tiny 1% changes, right? What if what I write about is actually inspiring to somebody and actually helps somebody? Instead of saying it's not going to help somebody, what if it does, right? What if what I share helps somebody commit to that healthier lifestyle that they've been trying to set up but haven't been able to find someone to connect to? What if my horrible spelling and grammar is what somebody needs to see to decide that, hey, you know what? If she can freaking put that out there on the interwebs, then why aren't I? Right? I want to be the person who writes every week. I want to be the person that shows up on my podcast every week. I want to be the person who shares and inspires and provides you with the knowledge that I have. Like, what? I have all this knowledge stuck in my brain. Why not share it? Take it. If it resonates with you, leave it if it doesn't, right? So here's the thing. Here's what I've been doing. I have started creating the habit. Like I said, I really committed to it moving into this new year. So I really kind of put it into place probably November, December, where I have started creating the habit of writing something. Like, even if it's just on my notepad in my phone, I am committing to writing every single week, getting thoughts out, getting feelings out, getting things on paper, if you will. I have committed and I am doing the thing that I want to do. I'm sitting down, I am recording on my podcast, and I am hitting publish whether or not it's freaking perfect or not. I have this new video Riverside podcasting thing. I don't understand it at all. I know how to record on it and I know how to hit publish, but I don't know how to edit at all. So it just shows up raw. It goes out to you guys raw because I haven't figured it out yet. I have tried and I have ended up deleted things instead of getting them out there. So I'm like, you know what? For now, I'm just pushing it out there, right? That's what I'm doing. I'm just creating the habit of showing up here and doing it no matter what. I am creating this as something that matters to me each week, that I find is important and has value, right? So, will I show up and what I present to everyone be awesome and resonate with every single person? No, probably not. And you know what? Some weeks it's going to suck balls. I'm sure of it. I'm positive, because we can't be perfect all the time. We can't like show up and make anybody happy all the time, right? So I'm just committing. I want to show up. I want to get my content out there. I want to share with you guys. I want you guys to feel like this is a place where you can come and to get information. And we can talk about, women's health. We can talk about the emotional side of things. We can talk about these things like trying to build better habits, right? I've been a mom for 19 years, and I'm just starting to find this like freedom and leeway where I can take time to put these little habits into place and to start to take better care of myself. Like, this is what I'm doing. And so let's talk about these things and how difficult it is on so many levels often to do these little things, to make time for our little habits. Maybe your little habit is just allowing yourself the 15 minutes in the morning to journal and drink a coffee. Maybe you really want to figure out a way to do that. Let's figure it out. Let's talk about these things, right? So, that's why I'm showing up here. I might share a recipe with you guys and you try it and it completely bombs and you message me back and you're like, dude, that recipe sucked. Like, it was horrible. What did you do wrong? Maybe I'm ill. I don't know. But I'm just committing that I'm going to show up. I'm going to be here and I'm going to do the best I possibly can to be present in my business, because I know I have stuff that I want to share with you guys, right? So, here it is. Here I am. And if it sucks, I'm sorry. I really don't know what to tell you, but stay tuned and let's see where this takes us. And if there's something that you're like, I want to step up and do too, then fucking do it. Take that 1% step, right? Take that little tiny action step. I don't care. Just do it, right? Okay. That's it. I know it's a really short podcast, but that's all I have to say. So I will be back next week to record another one, just like I promised. Take care, guys.